Meeple Talk! Hello everyone, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Adam.
And welcome to Meeple Talk. So, this has a close one.
I'm destroying everything.
I know.
Everything.
With the power of his mind. So this week we've got Klondike Rush. That's a Red Raven publishing. Ryan Lackett is the designer. So generally what the theme behind it is, well, we are going to be mining. And so we're out in the cold there.
In the cold. Very cold. Yes.
And we are building our mining companies, hopefully getting joint share ownership of them and profiting of them. Hopefully also seeing if we can hunt the abominable. Well, they don't call him Yeti. He is a snow creature or snow beast.
Snow beast. I like Snow beast best. I don't know why it sounds cool.
Yep.
Snow beast.
Snow beast. So
there's
we also want to pursue him.
On this card, they call it the abominable snow creature.
Yes.
Another alternate name.
Exactly.
He has many names, but he's never been seen. So. He's a mystery.
But it's a really interesting looking game, so I guess we might as well want to dive right into it and have a look.
Yes. All right, so here's the board, and you'll notice it looks like mountain ranges. And on the mountain ranges are a series of dotted lines indicating all the different places where you can go in the game. Here we have these mines that are set up in the center. There's 4 different colors of mines, obviously the red, green, yellow, and blue, representing the 4 different mining companies in the game. There are also various hunt tokens that you can collect to satisfy orders in the game. And finally, there's a track here indicating the company value of each of the stock of the various companies. Each of the players will be getting or bidding on these company cards, which have various symbols on them that Stephanie will explain later. And again, there's 4 different ones with the red, green, blue, and yellow. There's a profit card, which you can use during the game to make a profit. These are more of the hunt tokens here. These are the order cards that you can use to satisfy orders using your hunt tokens and make some money there. And finally, you'll see there's different denominations of money, because this is in the old times when they used dollar bills. And finally, I didn't mention the Snow Beast indicates the first player. It's a really nice little looking figure. So that's all the components.
So generally how the gameplay works is that, yes, starting with that starting player, that person is going to draw the top mining company card from the draw pile and flip it over and to reveal what prospective rewards or value it's going to have. So you're going to have these share certificate symbols. The more you have of these for this respective company multiplied by the number of mines actually built is going to be one of the ways that you're going to earn income in the game. It's also going to indicate possibly one of these crates, and these are going to be your order cards. And I'm going to bring an example here. So this is an order card, and on the back, it's going to tell you the possible way of earning more money, that if you cash in a certain amount of a particular hunting token, you're going to cash it in for the respective income. Also, it may indicate a mine, and so these do come in multiples. You may if someone successfully bids on it, get the mine of that similar color, which you can then later build. So once this is revealed, starting player is going to toss out a bid. They could pass, but it's probably good to at least have a starting point. So that person, when you bid, you have to have at least that amount of money in your hand in order to be eligible for bidding. And then it just goes around in the round. People can choose to try to outbid to get that particular card. The person who is successful, let's say it's this player here, they're going to put this in their hand. The respective mine is going to be sitting on there. If the person happens to be the starting player, it is their turn. They can then, after, choose to build on the board this mine. If not, if you were not starting player, you just have to wait to your turn to do it. Now, coming back to the board here as well. So when building happens, these numbers here are going to be representing costs to build. It is going to follow along the path either to the home base or to a mine of similar color, whichever is closer. It's going to determine your overall cost to build. So the further away you get, you might want a particular hunting token, but it's going to cost you. So as we go around, the play continues until all these cards are going to be bought. At that time, what we're going to do is we're going to count up the total money. And so there's a couple of things I just want to mention. to earn cash, of course, you're going to spend it pretty quickly. Hopefully you won't, but if you don't do successful building or you bid poorly, you're going to run out of cash. There's a couple ways to earn money. So I mentioned these cards here, but also if you have 3 tokens, doesn't matter if they're matching or different, you can cash them in for $5. Also, this profit card, this becomes very important as well. If you run low on funds, you can cash this in once per game. And what you're going to essentially do is total up the amount of ownership certificates you have for each mining company. And here, this mining company value track, you're going to multiply it by the number that the particular mine sits on. How this number is determined is that essentially every single mine built, it's going to progress that particular mine company color along the track. So the more of that particular color is built, the more payout you're going to get. If, however, you can hold out to the end of the game and you never cash this in, you're going to double your reward. And also, your companies are going to be valued a lot more at the end. So the longer you can hold out, the better. So as I was saying, with all the mines built, everyone is going to finally do their tally. Whoever has the most money is going to win.
All right, so that's the description of the game. So we'd like to tell you how it plays and that sort of thing. Do you want to start? Or?
Sure, I'll start. Okay, so I mean, one of the things I like about Ryan Longcut and also other Red Raven publishings is that they have really interesting ideas. They have great looking games with great looking components, really skilled artwork with color combinations that just work so nicely. So when it comes to theme, they really do a good job of bringing that to life just with the components and the setup of it. And I always really like that. So when I first saw this game, I was like, hey, that's kind of a cool idea, like doing mining. Now, it is fun to play, but I do think that we have found that this game, unfortunately, does have a bit of a balance problem. And the reason why that is, you don't say, but
I don't think I've heard this.
I don't know, but the reason why this is that it's an auction game. There's a lot of random components because the spread of the goods that are around are going to change all the time. The path that you grow from is going to change. Your home base is going to change. So there's a lot of variable components in that create this replayability when it comes to the it's not a set game that you just have this predictable path each and every time, but where the imbalance comes from is that when you have a tool, which essentially in this game is going to be money, it's the tool that makes the game progress, makes the game go forward. If it's also the very same thing that determines who wins at the end, you run into some problems that way, because you want to have the most money to win, but money has to be spent for anyone to be able to do anything or to accomplish any objectives. And the reason why I personally think it's imbalanced is that there's a couple of things that you could be going for. You could be the person who does the building, and you could be maybe earning from your hunter tokens, some cash along the way. You could, build all the mines to progress the value in it. But the thing is, you're not building for your own benefit. You're building for everyone else's benefit. So the cheat we've sort of come across is that if you're the person who holds out and just focuses on the cards that have the share certificates, you will benefit by everyone else putting out the cost to build and to develop the board. You reap the rewards for it. And the level of input you have to put into the game for the rewards as someone who just focuses on share certificates is a lot more rewarding than the person who builds the actual mines themselves. Because even if you're lucky, let's say you bid low and maybe you happen to have a path of similar mine colors that maybe make the cost to build a little bit less, your average cost to build, it seems to me, is a lot more for the rewards that you get for getting your hunter tokens, for the reward of getting the most Yeti. We didn't mention this, but whoever also gets the most cards completed for your, what are these called?
Orders. The
orders. Yeah, the most orders. There's 15 or 10 that you get for first and second place for most orders filled, or 25 that you get for having the most Yeti tokens. Those, even if that is your driving motivation, the reward that you get for that still doesn't seem to compensate you enough for the amount that you have to shell it to actually do the building. So it seems like the holdout who just focuses on certificates gets more in the end. The other thing that we found too, now maybe if you have played it and you've found a different experience, let us know. But it seems to be that the person who also cashes in their profit card earliest either has a really hard time keeping pace with the rest of the players later in the game, and we've never actually found them to win. Even though theoretically, if you get a lot of money, you can still do more building. So we found that this, it changes your level of motivation of what it is you want to do. So it seems like the main crux of the game, the thing that you think is supposed to be the most important part, the building, is actually the thing that you want to do the least. And that's kind of what I found with this game. Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay. That's very interesting. Well, it's not the perspective that I had. It's not quite the same, but I mean, we're different people, so
exactly.
So we agree and we also disagree in a way. So first of all, I want to say also that, or I guess for the first, I don't think Sephi has mentioned this, but I think it's a very elegant game. In fact, that it's very simple. It's very easy to learn. It has very few components. It's definitely not the type of Ryan Lowcock game that you've been expecting if you've played, Above and Below or Islebound. This, again, is a very different game. Something that me not expect, because it's basically all based on bidding, right? So auctioning and bidding is the entire game. Every single person will bring up a card and everyone will bid on it. And it's also much more of a strategy game, at least in the game design, in the sense that, as Stephanie mentioned, you really have to manage your money very carefully. If you spend a lot of money on a lot of mining properties early, you will find that you don't have any money. And then for several turns, you can't do anything. And your only option then is to, call in your profit card. And as we mentioned, the profit card, you score it twice at the end of the game. But if you use it once, you can only use it once during the game. And that's an option. You may or may not want to use it. But people end up using it because they run out of money halfway or 2/3 through the game. They've bid too much, they've spent too much to build mines, and their orders aren't coming through because it's difficult to get these as well, and so you'll run out of money. So it's not a happy-go-lucky fun game. It actually is a game where you really have to, and as you play more, you begin to realize, wow, in the early game I can't bid so much because I'm just going to run out of money. So that was unexpected to find that in this game. But I understand how that may be, kind of like not a flaw, but deliberate design, right? Where it's the sort of game where you really have to think about what you're doing on every single turn and be careful. The problem that I had with it, and it's not a huge problem, but it's significant, is that it's not so much the rarity of the money and having to, count your money carefully. It's the fact that there's a lot of randomness in the game. For example, you got these 2 order cards, right? For example, one of my strategies in one of the games I played was to get a lot of order cards so that, when these mines come up, some of them will have a box indicating an order card. So if you specifically bid on those and get those, you'll have more order cards. So then when you're moving along, because these tokens, these hunt tokens, are placed very randomly. And if you're like, well, I need 3 mooses. Well, how am I going to get 3 mooses? I have to go here, and then maybe I need another color and get here, and it would be very expensive to get here, so I'll wait for someone else to build another red mine, and then it'll be closer, and that sort of thing, right? So you're trying to strategize, how can I get these? But they're very few. They're placed randomly. The order cards are random, and in that particular game, for example, I actually got 3 more order cards, but they were all for crystals. So they all basically did the same thing for me, which is nothing, because I already had a crystal card when I started the game. So I put all that time and effort into getting extra ones, but the fact is, you don't get to choose, what's on the order card, what kind of order card you get. They just come up randomly. So that randomness makes it difficult to develop any kind of strategy, right? So you end up playing in the moment. On every turn, you have to think, what is my best option? But your options are mostly a random card comes up, or you pick a random order card, and all of these are placed randomly. And I feel like that the game strategy, the design of the game, fights against this idea that there's so much randomness that you can't take advantage of that strategy because nothing is predictable enough. So while I like the game, I'm not saying I don't like the game. I think it plays very well, and it's a very enjoyable game. And if you like bidding, I think you'll really like it. But I feel like it could have been better. It could have been better designed. There could have been less randomness in the drawing of the order cards, or as the mining cards come out, that could have been less random. So it's a good game for me, but it's definitely not a great game.
Yeah, and I would have to agree. I'm not knocking in the sense that I'll just put it on the shelf and never see it again. I will play this again. Absolutely. But it's just one of those things that when you think of, oh, maybe I could have done this better, I would have enjoyed it, maybe if it was your single mission versus a group benefit. It seemed like it had that potential that could have been just a little bit more. But you know what? Then again, if your flavor is a bit different, if this is the kind of thing that you like, I would say, you know what? Give it a try. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's our review.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah, come see us again.
See you later.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.